Well, hello! It's time for another exciting episode of Pens in Use. This is the show where I talk about the fountain pens and inks I've been using throughout the week. So let's dive into it. If videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And hey, what can you tell me about being busy? Is this your busy time of year? Do you try to schedule time for yourself even when you're busy? Let us know down in the comments. So let's take a look at some pens. So I just figured out that I filmed all the me talking part of Pens in Use and a book review without using my nice microphone. And it would be okay if I'd been sitting anywhere near my laptop and I just say, whoopsie! But yeah, I am almost inaudible because I'm sitting so far away from the laptop when I film those. So, gotta do that again! But let's do something happier and look at some pens. So from left to right, I have I almost said Kaveco. Noodlers Conrad, PenBBS, I don't remember your number all of a sudden. He says as he's filming the video. PenBBS 355, Lamy 2000, Lamy 2000, Jinhao 100, Jinhao 100, PenBBS 487, and a Lamy 80. So I'm a little light on the vintage pens this week, which is unusual for me, but I think I'll have some interesting stuff nevertheless. As always, I'll be doing my writing samples in this cognitive surplus notebook. Alright, so my first pen is this Noodlers Conrad. I've had this pen for years, but you don't see it very often. I love the finish on it. You know, it may be just a basic acrylic, but I really like it. I just think it's a great color combination. But you never see me use it. I think it's a comfortable pen to hold, but you never see me use it. What's the problem? Well, the nib. But I've had a lot of trouble getting my Stipula to write, my Stipula Etruria to write. So one day, just as an experiment, I tried some different nibs on the Stipula, and fail. And I tried the Stipula nib on some other pens, and it worked. And I thought, no, that's stupid. I want to use the Stipula nib on the Stipula pen. Well, I changed my mind. So this is a... Whoop. Don't have enough light up there. Let's see if that helps. There we go. So this is a Stipula nib from the Stipula Etruria on a Noodlers Conrad. And as you can see, I've written quite a lot with this pen since I inked it up literally last Monday. Yeah. That right there is everything I was hoping that Stipula would be. Only I'm getting it with a much cheaper Noodlers Conrad. So we got the Stipula nib with T-Flex. The ink in it is one of my favorites. It's Noodlers Black Swan in Australian Rose. And this is exactly like how I always hope this ink will look. Just everything I want. So, I like this combination. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the Stipula because I've tried a few different nibs in it, and I'm starting to think that the problem may actually be somewhere in the pen. I've been thinking the nib was faulty, but the nib clearly is not because it's been glorious to write with it. So, some investigation to do there. I don't have an answer yet. My next pen also has a Stipula nib because at some point over the summer, I traded to get a Stipula nib from somebody who'd kind of messed up their the rest of the pen, and thought that would fix it. No. The only thing I don't like in this pen The nib does fit very close. I did destroy some Nemosine nib, a Nemosine nib I should say, in this pen because it fit so close. So I'm very conscious of that when I cap it. The real complaint I have though, oh come on, focus, there we go. This does not fit quite as well. So there's a bit of a gap between the tines. And it ends up, like, if it's been sitting, I have to wait for the nib to fill up with ink. So we're waiting right now for ink to dribble down into the slit there. Sometimes I encourage it a little. There we go. Now we're cooking with onions. So this is a PenBBS 355. And it has, again, a Stipula T-Flex nib in it. I will admit it's not as glorious in this pen, although there's why. This feed isn't quite capable of keeping up with this nib. And this ink is Noodlers Blue Nose Bear. Which is supposed to have a haloing effect, but I rarely see it. See, there we go again. It's not like it's out of the slit. Oh yeah, it is. Dripping down. Come on, tiger. So I tried fitting a Noodler's feed into this pen, but it really doesn't fit. And I feel like if I carve it one to make it fit, I'm going to be sorry. So I may have to go back to a more regular nib in this pen. But in the meantime, it's been an interesting experiment. You know, it's nice to know it's not so much the nib that's the problem. It's just also kind of a shame to know that, because then I realized that, oh, this may be a much bigger issue than you've been thinking all this time. My Lamy 2000 has been being a bit naughty lately. So I ended up this week, usually I wait till the holiday break and I clean it out completely and then re-ink it for when I go back to school, and then just use something else over the break. But I ended up cleaning it and re-inking it this week. Solved all the problems. Sometimes ink would dribble down here. Sometimes it started having very hard starts or not writing at all, no matter how much I shook it. Anyway, all problems are solved. So, yeah, every so often you need to clean your pens. This is one that just gets inked up and refilled over and over and over again. And I guess it got used a little too much this year. So, Lamy 2000 with Pelikan 4001 Brilliant Black. And this is exactly the writing experience I would like to have from this pen. I showed it, I think when the problems were first developing, I showed it to the Mona Lisa when I was in Fort Ransom, and she remarked on how wet it was, and yeah, she was right. It was way wetter than it normally is. So I think the problem had started then. You know, my cleaning is not, let's take it apart. My cleaning is, hey, let's totally flush it with water till the water's running clear. Set it nib down on a paper towel till it's dry and refill it. And that did the trick. So maybe I just need to clean it more often. I've got a video I want to do soon about daily writer pens. And yeah, that might give me an excuse to use some of the others more often. This is my other Lamy 2000. The only difference is the nib. This one has a broad nib. The ink in this one is a cousin to the two Noodlers inks. I'm sorry, to the two Noodlers inks that I've used today. Apparently Blue Nose Bear is also related to them, so, well, whatever. Sorry, drew a blank there for a second. Noodlers. Black Swan. In English Rose. Which is a nice shading red ink. So if you're looking for a red ink that's not as in your face as a really bright red, this is a good one. The only problem sometimes with these Noodlers inks is if you use them on nicer paper, sometimes they don't dry forever. The paper I'm using here today isn't the best paper, so it's fine. There's some of that haloing that the Blue Nose Bear is supposed to do around the letters. It only does that on some paper. Apic is one I can usually get it to do it on. This is a pen I reviewed. Well, okay. I actually filmed the writing last spring before school was even out. But this is a Jinhao 100. I finally filmed the audio this week and published my first impression. And what inspired me to do that is I had replaced the nib that was in it. A little bit. Oh, that's... Sorry. In the camera, it looked like there was ink all over here, but it's just a dark whatever on the ring. Anyway, I replaced the Jinhao... Well, this had a Fuday Nib, so we'll talk about the Fuday Nib in a minute. I replaced it with this Nemosine re-entry nib, which sadly they no longer make because I think they look super cool. And this has a fine point on it. Doug Rathbun did a video this week, which I'll try to remember to link in my video description, where he showed how to replace the nibs in these. And it's pretty much exactly what I did, only he was much neater about it. You know, he used gripper things and all that, and I just used my fingers. The ink in this is Atramentis Aubergine, which I won't be growing them for many, many months yet. I miss my eggplants. Although this year there wasn't much to miss because they did terrible in the drought. But anyway, maybe I'll have to buy one at the grocery store just to reminisce. It is a very, very dark purple. I'd say it's just about acceptable in any kind of serious setting where you might use blue or black. But just enough color to it to be fun. Alright, so when I published the review, some people in the comments mentioned about the Fuday Nibs drying out. And they're right. When I first got the pen, I ran through the ink quickly enough that I didn't see it. But I've been busy. I'm working and stuff. So it's a busy time of year. So the Fuday Nib in this, I've discovered, since I inked it up actually 2 weeks ago with whatever I've got in it, Robert Oster Fire and Ice, I discovered that, yeah, it does dry up. In fact, I waited a little bit to film this video because I couldn't get it to write, so I just licked the nib. And, yeah, I got it to write. So this is where the Fuday Nib ended up. A Fuday Nib looks like a nib you've dropped. What it's used for is to get a more calligraphic type of writing, kind of like you're using a brush pen. And see, it's already dried up since I licked it. Jinhao. Ooh-wee. So, I'm going to say, since I'm watching the ink dribble down into between the tines, that's a nib problem rather than the pen itself. AO, not OA. Jinhao 100. If I write more upright, the ink in it, again, is Robert Oster, which I learned just recently that you can't, at the moment, mail packages to Australia from the United States. So, it's an Australian ink. So I'm not sure exactly what the reason is, but the U.S. Postal Service will not mail anything to Australia right now. And I feel like we just recently got ourselves in trouble with France over Australia. And so you'd think we'd be, since the U.S. Postal Service is government, we'd be giving them more support than that, but whatever. I am seeing a little sheen in this ink, but not on this paper. I saw sheen with it when I used it on the Tomoe River paper. My next pen has just been slow to run out of ink. It's my magnetic filler that I did a few weeks ago. My PenBBS 487. And I replaced the nib, which helped with the pen a great deal. So nib swapping is a beautiful thing sometimes. So it's a Goulet nib, which is another way of saying that it's a Yovo nib. And the ink in it is Edelstein Onyx. So it's a relative of the Pelikan 4001 Brilliant Black that I used earlier in the Lamy 2000. One of these days I should do a study on the differences between the two inks. Probably with paper chromatography and having them in the same pen. Because I think it's a little darker, but it's also in a different pen and a different nib. And finally, my Lamy 80 fountain pen. The only vintage one here, which is almost empty, and the only reason I haven't run it dry already, which it usually does very quickly, is because it has this ink in it. So I haven't been as quick to use it up. And I realize what a dismal collection of inks this week. So it's a double broad, and again, Edelstein Onyx. I've got a couple of these pens are close to being empty, like that Noodlers Conrad. So I've got a couple of fun pens that I'm going to fill with fun inks for next week when they run out. And this is a fun pen. I may have to apologize to it for this ink by putting something fun in it. So those are the pens and inks that I've been using this week. So anyway, I missed you last week over the Thanksgiving break. I've been kind of busy with school and stuff, and each night I was going to film, by the time I got done with other stuff, it was like, felt too much like work to film, so I didn't. And much better place this week. I got the house much cleaner than it was last week. I got a lot of little projects done more than anything, and just in a better place. I busy this week also. In fact, I have to go to the school tonight yet and spend 3 hours there, so not sure how excited I am about that, but anyway, busy. It's just one of those things. But, I'm in two minds about busy. I used to know a woman. She was almost 90 when she died, but she had to spend the last year or so of her life in assisted living. Well, more than assisted living. She was in a nursing home. Her mind was still good, but her body had started to fail her. And anyway, she made the remark once that she would give anything to be busy still. And so, busy can be a blessing, but it's also a curse because, you just don't have time for the things you love and want to do. What I always try to schedule is time for myself. So even if I'm busy, I just say, okay, this period of time is to do things you want to do. Read a book, watch a movie, although usually I'll just watch part of a movie because I don't like sitting through a whole movie in one sitting. Fountain pen stuff, garden stuff, although I don't do much garden stuff this time of year. But I always try to schedule that time for myself. And, just time for maintenance, where I got to clean the house, make sure I get some exercise outdoors and all that. So, because this time of year is one of my busiest for work. Not real sure why, it just is. Maybe it's because of all the weekend demands on my time this time of year. But yeah, I end up, I'm always overwhelmed at this time of year and always really glad Christmas vacation shows up. My other really bad time is sort of end of February, beginning of March, and part of that has to do with Science Olympiad. That's right as we are about to do regionals, so yeah, another busy time. So I just get behind, and you can tell I'm behind when my house gets messy, my classroom gets messy, and no matter how much I try to maintain, it just gets ahead of me. So then that stresses me out more, and eventually I get frustrated enough I take the time to clean and organize. So that's a lot of what I did at home over the holiday break, Thanksgiving break. I'm going to do that. I'm planning the first day or two of the Christmas break. I'm going to spend in my classroom actually cleaning and organizing and getting things ready for the second semester, so I'm not coming back feeling stressed. I'm just coming back like, oh, yeah, this is already done. So, but yeah, I just get busy. And I don't know your philosophy on work, but I've heard the phrase, do the work you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Not true. I am very passionate about the field of education. I love science. But there's a lot to this job that's just plain work. And it's like that for any job, no matter how much you love it. You've always wanted to own a clothing store. Oh, we got to not only sell clothes and help people look good, we got to do inventory, we got to do accounting, we got to do books, we got to pay workers, we got to pay taxes. You get a whole bunch, building maintenance, a whole bunch of stuff that falls into it that's beyond it. And so I don't like that phrase. Now, what I will say is if it's something you're passionate about, that can help you get past those parts of the job that you hate. So when I've got to correct papers, something I hate doing, the other side of it helps me get past that. When I have to deal with a really ornery parent, the good parts of the job help me get past it. When I have to deal with an ornery kid, that helps me get past it. So anyway, that phrase is silly. It's just not true. My passion for education is what's keeping me sane right now while I'm busy, because I really don't want to go to school for 3 hours tonight. But I remind myself, holidays are coming. So anyway, just something that's been on my mind, and that's why I wasn't here last week. That's also why you're not getting a real long Pens in Use tonight. I just don't have time, but I'm hoping next week will be better. Oh no, it won't. Never mind. I get to spend all Saturday and Friday night at the school, so yeah. All right, so next week won't be better, but maybe the week after that will be better. But anyway, I've made some time recently. I finished a book, which the book review will publish on Monday. I've I'm actually working on Johnny Pierce's mutation. Almost finished with that, so I'll do a video on that too. Just kind of fun to have that sanity break. This is a sanity break this year. Last week, filming this video would have felt like work. Some weeks I do it just kind of out of duty, but last week I was just not feeling it at all. So I didn't. I can see why some reviewers take time off. So, something for me to consider for the new year. But anyway, just that busy thing is what's really been on my mind these past couple of weeks. So, if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And what's your busy time of the year? When you're really busy, do you schedule time for to enjoy your hobbies and just general life maintenance, or do you throw yourself all into work? I think about farmers who have kind of that narrow window of opportunity to plant and to harvest. You might be throwing yourself in the work full time for certain periods of time of the year. Let us know down in the comments, and maybe other countries do better with that work-life balance. I've definitely heard that. So again, let us know down in the comments. So as always, I want to thank you for watching. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.